Meanwhile, swarms of alien ships began targeting military bases and airfields across the region. One after another, airports and runways were completely destroyed. At the same time, Will was desperately trying to shake off an alien UFO that was locked onto him. He had no weapons capable of destroying it, but he knew he might be able to outsmart it. Then he spotted a massive rock formation directly ahead, and a risky plan instantly came to mind. As the pursuing UFO closed in on his tail, Will suddenly deployed his parachute and ejected from the jet. Before the alien pilot could understand what was happening, the unmanned fighter slammed straight into the giant rock. The alien UFO behind it had no time to react and crashed into the rock at full speed. After an intense struggle, Will had finally managed to take down one of the alien ships. His confidence skyrocketed. Fearlessly, he walked toward the wreckage and manually opened the UFO's hatch. At that moment, he may have become the first human ever to see a living alien up close. Unfortunately, his jet was completely destroyed, leaving him stranded. With no other choice, Will began dragging his parachute across the desert in search of help. Luckily, he soon spotted several vehicles in the distance and finally got a ride. Elsewhere, the president had arrived at the mysterious Area 51. From above, it looked like nothing more than an ordinary military base. But hidden deep underground was a secret research facility dedicated to studying alien life. The most shocking part was that even the president had never been told about it. Upon arriving, he met Dr. Okun, who revealed a startling secret. About 15 years earlier, the US military had recovered an alien spacecraft. Scientists spent years examining it, but its incredibly advanced technology remained beyond their understanding. Then, not long ago, the ship's power system was unexpectedly activated on its own. Although the researchers still couldn't fully comprehend the technology, they had at least figured out how the craft operated. Dr. Okun then led the president to the alien that had been recovered along with the ship years ago. The creature was no longer alive, but the scientists had uncovered something extraordinary during their studies. They discovered that these aliens didn't communicate through speech or language at all. Instead, they connected directly from mind to mind, using powerful telepathic communication. The only proof they had so far was a collection of dead alien specimens. But then everything changed when Will managed to capture a live alien and bring it back to the base. The moment the news spread, the entire research facility was thrown into chaos. For Dr. Okun, it was a dream come true. He immediately ordered a full examination and decided to remove the alien's helmet. As the helmet was being taken off, everyone expected to see the creature's face. But the second it opened, they made a shocking discovery. The figure they had been looking at wasn't the alien at all. It was actually an incredibly advanced and heavily armored suit. No one could understand how Will had managed to knock something that powerful unconscious with a single punch. Meanwhile, nobody noticed that the alien had already regained consciousness. The instant Dr. Okun looked at the creature's real face, he suddenly fell under its control. Within moments, the alien began emerging from its suit. Its true body wasn't very large, but it was far more intelligent and dangerous than any human could have imagined. As soon as it woke up, it unleashed complete chaos throughout the laboratory. Scientists and researchers desperately tried to escape, but they had no chance. In just a matter of seconds, the entire lab turned into a slaughterhouse. By the time the president and top military officials arrived, the research center had already been devastated. Thick smoke filled the air, and destruction covered every corner of the facility. It quickly became clear that Dr. Okun was no longer acting on his own. The alien had somehow taken control of his body and was using him to communicate with humanity. Seeing an opportunity to avoid a full-scale war, the president decided to speak with the creature. He asked a simple question: "What do you want from us?" But the moment those words left his mouth, the alien began invading the president's mind as well. Panic spread through the room. Without hesitation, the guards opened fire, unloading a barrage of bullets into the creature. Within seconds, the alien was dead. When the president finally regained consciousness, he revealed something terrifying. He said he had learned the alien's true purpose. Their telepathic abilities worked both ways. Whenever they connected with someone's mind, Both sides could read each other's thoughts. While trying to control him, the alien had unknowingly revealed its own secrets. The president explained that these aliens weren't native to a single planet. They traveled through the galaxy like a swarm of locusts, moving from one world to another. Whenever they discovered a developed civilization, they invaded it, consumed every available resource, and drained the planet dry. Once nothing was left, they simply moved on to their next target. And now, Earth is next. Hearing this, everyone realized humanity was running out of time. With no other options left, the president was forced to authorize a nuclear strike. Even so, everyone was haunted by one terrifying thought. What if even a nuclear weapon couldn't break through the aliens' shields? If that happened, humanity would have no way to survive. Soon, America's most advanced fighter jet arrived directly in front of the massive alien spacecraft. Moments later, a nuclear missile was launched. Inside the control room, everyone held their breath and stared at the screens, convinced that this would finally be the attack that brought the aliens down. But when the explosion erupted, the sight that followed shattered every bit of hope they had left. Despite the devastating blast, the alien shield absorbed the entire attack. The spacecraft didn't suffer so much as a scratch. At that moment, it felt like humanity had run out of options. The end of Earth suddenly seemed closer than ever. Meanwhile, all of David's research had led nowhere. Frustrated and defeated, he tried to drown his worries in alcohol. Seeing this, his father became concerned and told him there was no point destroying himself if no solution could be found. But those words sparked something in David's mind. An incredible idea suddenly clicked. He immediately gathered everyone together and asked an officer to place a soda can on top of the captured UFO and fire a gun at it. Just as everyone expected, the UFO's shield instantly activated and neutralized the bullet. No one was surprised. However, nobody understood what David was trying to prove. Then David typed a few commands into a computer and told the officer to fire again. This time, the bullet struck the can and sent it flying into the air. Everyone in the room was stunned. How had the shield suddenly failed? David then revealed the truth. He explained that although the aliens possessed technology thousands of years ahead of humanity, their entire civilization operated through a massive digital network. And just like a computer network can be crippled by a virus, he had successfully uploaded a virus into the UFO system. As a result, its defensive shield had automatically shut down. David wasn't just disabling one ship. He was proving that alien technology could be hacked. He then unveiled the real plan. He wanted to upload the virus directly into the alien mothership's central system. Once inside, it would spread throughout the entire network, infecting every connected UFO and spacecraft. The moment all of their defense shields went offline, humanity would finally have a chance to fight back. But there was one major problem. Someone would have to risk everything by infiltrating the alien mothership itself. That's when Will stepped forward and volunteered for the mission. The story begins with a young technician who is supposed to be on duty, but instead of working, he's casually passing the time. Everything seems normal until a strange and mysterious signal suddenly appears on his system. Shocked by what he sees, he immediately calls his supervisor. At first, his boss is irritated and assumes it's just another false alarm. But the moment he listens to the signal, his attitude changes completely. The signal isn't coming from Earth, it's coming from outer space. What they're hearing is an alien transmission. For a brief moment, it seems like humanity has finally made contact with extraterrestrial life. But when scientists calculate the signal's location, everyone is stunned. The source is only about 370,000 kilometers away, near the moon. At first, nobody wants to believe it. However, the evidence quickly becomes impossible to ignore. An alien fleet is actually heading toward Earth. The situation becomes so serious that the entire team abandons breakfast and rushes to inform the Ministry of Defense. But the information that follows is even more terrifying. Further analysis reveals that the alien spacecraft is over 500 kilometers wide. Nothing of that size has ever been seen in human history. The discovery is immediately reported to the highest levels of government. By the time the president is informed, the massive ship has already begun splitting into multiple sections. countless smaller vessels start emerging from its interior. No one knows their true purpose, but one thing is certain. They will enter Earth's atmosphere within the next 25 minutes. Faced with an unprecedented crisis, the president quickly calls for a global press conference. Meanwhile, strange changes begin occurring across the planet. Wherever the enormous alien ships appear, the sky turns an eerie shade of yellow. News networks around the world switch to live coverage, broadcasting the event non-stop. Humanity has never witnessed anything like this before. Desperate to learn the aliens' intentions, the military decides to attempt peaceful communication. A diplomatic aircraft is sent toward one of the alien vessels. At first, everything appears normal. But as the plane approaches, it is suddenly engulfed by a massive burst of fire. Within seconds, the aircraft is completely destroyed. As news of the attack spreads across the globe, government officials step forward to calm the public. They repeat the usual warnings. Stay calm, don't panic, and avoid unnecessary travel. But by now, fear is spreading faster than the news itself. The mysterious alien ships continue moving toward densely populated areas, including the heart of New York City. Even more disturbing, every giant spacecraft is positioned directly above major cities around the world. No one knows what the aliens are planning, but it's clear that something catastrophic is about to happen. However, a television engineer named David may have already uncovered the truth. When the alien ships first appeared, he noticed unusual patterns hidden within broadcast signals. After studying them carefully, he realizes that the repeating transmissions are gradually decreasing in sequence. That's when the horrifying realization hits him. These aren't ordinary signals at all. They're a countdown. David had a terrifying realization. The aliens were preparing for a massive operation. Based on his calculations, the countdown had less than 6 hours remaining. And when it reached 0, something would happen that could shake the entire world. Although David had figured out the truth, nobody believed him. He knew he had to get this information to someone with real authority. Fortunately, his ex-wife, Connie, worked at the White House, so he immediately called her. But the moment he started explaining his theory, Connie assumed he was once again chasing another wild conspiracy. Without even hearing the full story, she hung up on him. David was furious, but there was no time to waste. He quickly grabbed his father and headed straight to the White House. Thanks to his father's connections, they were allowed inside. Connie eventually arranged a meeting with the president, though David was given only 2 minutes to make his case. In those 2 minutes, he explained everything. According to David, the aliens were using humanity's communication satellites to send commands to thousands of smaller UFOs. He had spent months analyzing the alien signals, and what he discovered was shocking. He was convinced that within the next 28 minutes, the aliens were about to make their move. Meanwhile, a military communications team had arrived near one of the giant alien spacecraft with several helicopters. Hoping to establish contact, they aimed a massive light signal at the ship. Suddenly, a section of the enormous spacecraft slowly began to open. Back in the command center, everyone believed the aliens might finally be ready to communicate. But a second later, a horrifying laser beam erupted from the ship and instantly vaporized both helicopters in midair. At that moment, there was no longer any doubt. The aliens were not here in peace. As soon as David's warning proved true, panic spread throughout the White House. Emergency protocols were activated within minutes, and officials scrambled to evacuate. The president and top government leaders had access to private aircraft prepared for escape. But outside, millions of ordinary people remained trapped on crowded streets. Many still refused to believe the danger was real. They convinced themselves that the aliens had come peacefully. What they didn't realize was that the countdown was about to reach 0. And the moment it did, humanity would face the largest attack in its history. Time was up. Without warning, the underside of the massive alien spaceship began to slowly open. The people standing below had no idea what was about to happen. Then, a blinding light started glowing from inside the ship. A second later, a devastating energy beam shot down from the sky and instantly obliterated the entire building beneath it. Panic erupted everywhere. People ran in every direction, desperately trying to save their lives. But the destruction was so sudden and overwhelming that no one had time to react. Within moments, giant beams began raining down over major cities across the world. Massive skyscrapers exploded and collapsed one after another. Helicopters and fleeing civilians were caught in the devastating blasts. In just a few minutes, entire cities were transformed into oceans of fire. The power of the attack was far greater than anything humanity had ever witnessed, even more destructive than a nuclear explosion. By sunrise, the city had been completely wiped out. All that remained was rubble. There was no sign of life anywhere. At that moment, humanity realized the terrifying truth. The aliens had not come in peace. With no time to waste, the president immediately ordered a counterattack. Soon, hundreds of American fighter jets filled the skies. Pilots quickly locked their missiles onto the alien motherships, and as soon as the commander gave the signal, they launched a massive barrage. Back in the control room, everyone watched the screens in complete silence. They were confident this strike would prove that humanity wasn't going down without a fight. But just as the missiles were about to hit their targets, something unbelievable happened. A mysterious energy shield suddenly activated around the alien ship. Every missile slammed into it and became completely useless. The entire command center was left stunned. No one had any idea that the spacecraft was protected by an invisible shield so powerful that even humanity's most advanced weapons couldn't penetrate it. Realizing the situation was getting worse, the commander immediately ordered all pilots to gain altitude and retreat to safety. But at that exact moment, thousands of smaller UFOs burst out from inside the giant mothership. They attacked with incredible speed. Several fighter jets were destroyed the instant they came into contact with them. When the American pilots tried firing back, they made another shocking discovery. The smaller UFOs were protected by the same powerful energy shields. No human weapon could get through. The battle quickly became completely one-sided. Fighter jets were being blown out of the sky one after another. Even though the retreat order had already been given, escaping was nearly impossible because the alien craft kept pursuing them relentlessly. Amid the chaos, Will and his wingman tried to break away and lose the enemy. But two alien fighters immediately locked onto them and gave chase. Will and his partner were among the best pilots in the air. Yet even for them, outrunning the alien UFOs was proving to be a nearly impossible task. To avoid being detected by the aliens' locking system, the pilots were forced to fly their jets dangerously close to the ground. But after countless sharp maneuvers and high-speed evasive turns, Will's wingman could no longer handle the intense pressure. In the end, he became another victim of the alien attack. There was just one catch. The alien spacecraft they planned to use had crashed nearly 15 years earlier, and nobody knew whether it was still capable of flying. To find out what was really going on, David ordered the crew to release the spaceship's clamps. The moment the final clamp was removed, the entire craft suddenly began floating on its own. That was all the proof they needed. The ship was fully operational. Without wasting a second, the president launched a global counterattack plan. Emergency alerts were sent to the air forces of Russia, China, India, and many other nations, calling on them to join forces and strike the alien invaders together. At the same time, an unexpected volunteer arrived, a farmer. He wasn't a pilot, but he was determined to be part of the fight. Years earlier, he had been abducted by aliens, and now he finally had a chance to settle the score. Meanwhile, just before the attack began, the president prepared to deliver the most important speech of his life. What made the moment even more powerful was that it was Independence Day. Addressing people across the globe, he declared that humanity now stood united on a single front. This wasn't a battle for one nation, one flag, or one corner of the world. The threat was hanging over the entire planet. He urged everyone to put aside old conflicts, forget their differences, and stand together against a common enemy. The speech ignited a new sense of determination among the soldiers, and soon everyone was ready for the final showdown. Elsewhere, Will and David found themselves sitting inside the cockpit of an alien spacecraft for the very first time. But right before takeoff, a small mistake nearly ruined everything. Will accidentally positioned the command ship upside down and then launched it straight into the sky. As it turned out, He was having the time of his life flying the alien craft. He pulled off all kinds of wild aerial maneuvers, while David sat beside him completely terrified. A short time later, they reached the massive alien mothership. As they moved closer, the ship automatically switched into autopilot mode. Moments later, they were guided directly inside. Along the way, they witnessed sights beyond imagination. Eventually, they arrived at the mothership's main control area, where thousands of smaller alien ships were docked together. The entire place looked like a gigantic space station. To avoid being detected, David carefully closed the ship's windows so the alien operators wouldn't notice them. Then, when the perfect opportunity appeared, he put his plan into action. He opened his computer and secretly began uploading a computer virus into the mothership's central system. Within moments, the virus spread through the network, triggering malfunctions across the entire vessel. It was now obvious that David's plan was working. Back on Earth, as soon as confirmation arrived that the virus had been successfully deployed, the military launched its counterattack. Fighter jets from around the world surged toward the alien fleet at the same time. But this battle was different from the previous ones. Thanks to the virus, the aliens' powerful energy shields had been completely disabled, leaving their ships vulnerable for the very first time. Just then, the president, who had once served as an Air Force pilot, decided to lead the attack himself. He launched the very first strike, and within moments, dozens of fighter jets filled the sky, unleashing a massive barrage of missiles. The assault finally started causing serious damage to the alien spacecraft. Realizing the situation was turning against them, thousands of UFOs joined the battle. But this time, the fight was much more balanced. With their protective shields gone, alien ships began exploding one after another in midair. Even so, the aliens still had overwhelming numbers on their side. Before long, they launched relentless attacks on cities across the globe. Meanwhile, humanity was running low on missiles and ammunition. The giant mothership had barely taken any damage, and it looked like the battle was once again slipping out of humanity's hands. That's when Russell, the same farmer who had always claimed that aliens abducted him years ago, stepped forward. He decided to destroy the mothership's power source himself. But fate wasn't on his side. At the worst possible moment, his jet's missile launch system malfunctioned, leaving the missile stuck and useless. Most people would have given up right there. But not Russell. He had already accepted that this mission might cost him his life. Thinking of his family, his planet, and the chance to finally get revenge, he made a fearless decision. Without hesitation, he flew his aircraft directly into the alien ship's power core. Seconds later, the massive 500-kilometer-wide spacecraft was completely obliterated in a single devastating explosion. As soon as the mission succeeded, the command center ordered Will and David to return home. But a new problem appeared immediately. Their ship was still trapped inside the alien mothership. They tried everything they could to escape, but nothing worked. Then an alien spotted them. With a single command, the window covering of their ship opened automatically. Sensing the danger, Will and David quickly hid. Unfortunately, the aliens weren't easy to fool. A search team was dispatched almost instantly to hunt them down. At that point, survival seemed nearly impossible. So the two made a final decision. If they were going down, they would take the enemy with them. Without wasting a second, they launched a nuclear missile straight toward the alien command center. But before the warhead could detonate, the entire mothership suddenly began shaking violently. The massive shock disrupted their ship's controls and broke it free from the mothership's system. For the first time, they had a real chance to escape. Their relief didn't last long, though. The nuclear bomb was only 30 seconds away from exploding. Will and David immediately pushed their stolen alien craft to maximum speed and raced toward the exit. Several alien fighters chased them through the corridors of the mothership, but the incredible speed of the alien ship gave them just enough advantage. At the last possible moment, they burst out of the mothership and into open space. And then, the moment the entire world had been waiting for finally arrived. The gigantic mothership erupted in a catastrophic explosion. In an instant, the aliens' entire command network was destroyed. With the mothership gone, the remaining alien ships on Earth lost control and began crashing one after another. Within minutes, The greatest war in human history was over. Against all odds, humanity had won. Will and David safely returned to Earth as heroes. And with that, the incredible story of Independence Day comes to an end.